Good morning, everyone. We're here in Legoland. We brought Yehuda Tzvi here for a Chalamot Sukkot trip because he has off from school now. And, you know, it's beautiful when you walk around with a Lulav and Etrog, as I was this morning. People stop you and say, Chag Sameach. And you say, well, would you like to shake the Lulav and Etrog? And which Jew isn't happy to do a mitzvah? And it's such a beautiful way to connect with fellow Jews. Which brings us to one of the themes of the holiday of Sukkot. We know that the four species represent four categories of Jews, and bringing all four species together represents the unity of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are all one and interconnected, and the Etrog represents the heart, the Lulav represents the spine, the willows represent the lips, and the myrtles represent the eyes. Each one is shaped differently, and the idea is that the Lulav and Etrog and the four species represents the unification of the body of a person, and just like each body is connected with through various limbs that are all dependent on one another for their health and coexistence, the Jewish people are like one big body. And if one limb, God forbid, is detached, it affects the health of the entire body, because all the limbs and all the organs need each other to be codependent and work as one organism. And interestingly, that's the idea of Legos. The idea of Lego is that each piece connects with the next piece, and together you build something beautiful. And that's the metaphor for the Jewish people as well. There's a story with a rabbi who I know. His name is Rabbi Levi Welton. He is the rabbi in Westchester, New York, and he tells a remarkable story that he and his wife went to California one Shabbat, where his in-laws, his wife's parents, live in Sacramento, and they were spending Shabbat there. And they went to the Chabad that Shabbat, to the synagogue, and there happened to be a bat mitzvah going on, and they were part of the celebration. At the Kiddush, he went over to the father of the bat mitzvah girl. He introduced himself and wished Mazel Tov. And the father was from Mexico City, and he was actually a convert to Judaism, and he was celebrating his daughter's bat mitzvah. He started talking to the father, and he said, what's your Hebrew name? He said, my name is Chaim. He said, that's a beautiful name. Why did you choose the name Chaim when you converted? He said, I'll tell you, I was once visiting in New York when I wasn't converted yet, before I became Jewish. And Friday night, I was in New York in Westchester in this synagogue. And at L'chad Dodi, the congregation started dancing. And I was dancing, and I was holding hands with an elderly Jew. And when I looked over, I saw on his arm, he had a tattoo from the concentration camps. And I remembered that I learned in one of my classes that a Jew who still observes Judaism after surviving the Holocaust is on the level of an angel, because his faith remained unshaken despite witnessing and experiencing the greatest tragedies in his life. And then he told me, this Jew, Chaim, that not only that, this Holocaust survivor, when I spoke to him, told me that after he survived Buchenwald, he came to Israel and fought in the War of Independence. And then he immigrated to New York, and he lives in Westchester. Levi Welton says, by any chance, is this man's name Chaim Grossman? He said, yeah, it is. How do you know? He said, because I'm the rabbi of the synagogue in Westchester, New York. And Chaim Grossman is a congregant of mine. I know him very well. The father started crying. He said, I can't believe it. I'd never met Chaim again, but when I became Jewish, I decided, I was so inspired by this Jew that I decided then and there that I would give myself the name Chaim, and that's what I did when I converted. And I never met him before, afterwards. And I can't believe you know him. Could you please send him my warmest regards? After Shabbat, Levi Welton met up with this father of the bat mitzvah girl and took a picture with him. He went back to his synagogue, and the next Shabbat, when he got up to speak, he spoke about Jewish unity, how we're all interconnected. And then he called up Chaim Grossman, the Holocaust survivor, to the bima. And he said, let me tell you what happened. He told him the story how he met this Jewish convert with his wife and his children at his daughter's bat mitzvah. And he said, you know who inspired him the most and why he took the name Chaim? Because he was dancing with you at L'chad Dodi, and he saw your love and your passion for Judaism. And he saw that despite the Holocaust and the number on your hand, you still remain a faithful Jew. And he was inspired to want him to be that kind of a faithful Jew like you. And Chaim Grossman, the Holocaust survivor, started to cry. And he said, I was never blessed with children. and I'm getting old, and I'm thinking I'm leaving this world with no legacy, with no one to carry on my life. And now you're giving me the greatest gift. And the rabbi presented him with the picture of the father of the bat mitzvah girl. He says, I'm going to treasure this picture because it tells me that I do have a legacy, that I did inspire a family that is living as proud Jews today. That's the idea, that we're all interconnected. We're all one nation. We all have the ability to grow and inspire one another and achieve great things together as one Jewish nation. Chag Sameach.